Hi, welcome to episode number 7 of the Better Conversations podcast. We speak to the leaders of today so that the leaders of tomorrow can be inspired, enriched, and better than those who came before them. Today, I am with Jacob, who is a people consultant at EY. He formerly ran a student recruitment program at Intel and held a policy role at the Department of Education. Jacob also studied politics at Aston University. Jacob, how are you today?
Fabian, I'm good. Pleasure to be on the podcast. I'm looking forward to it.
Looking forward to it too. So today we're going to go through some of the turning points in your life. And one of the things that you spoke to me about before jumping on the podcast was being kicked out of sixth form. Would you like to tell the audience a little bit about that and how that shaped your journey?
Of course. So this, for anybody that knows me, this is something I speak about a lot. This was really a big point in my life and something that has really shaped the way in which I've approached myself going forward. So to give probably a bit of context as to the situation of what happened. So at secondary school, I was quite a bright individual, did okay at GCSEs, and really was leaning on natural ability to do, quite well at GCSEs, couple A stars, couple A's. Not too bad. I was lucky enough to win a place at a new sixth form in central London. The idea was it was supposed to be private school for people from working class backgrounds. So it was the best of the best of London gathered together in one school. So having won a place there, I thought, this is it. This is literally my ticket to the big time. This is the way that I'm going to get out of, the situation that I was in, the area I'm coming from, East London. I thought, on the fast track to greatness. The problem is, I think with that and with the acceptance and with feeling that I was on sort of a fast track, I think came complacency and arrogance. The idea that my natural talent had took me this far, so it was naturally going to take me through doing well at sixth form, doing well in my A levels, on to university. Like my story has already been written. I had already earned success, which I think is always a dangerous thing to think. And I think I learned that quite quickly. And so I think from day one, I was not doing very well at the school. My grades were middling to bad. And I think at the end of the year, the school actually asked me not to return because I had done that badly. And I think as somebody that has always been told about their potential, about, how intelligent I was coming out of school, to then have somebody say, no, you know what, you're so far beyond the standard that we expect from people here that we don't want you to come back it's insane. It's not the best feeling. It's pretty insane. But it was something that needed to happen because I think I really needed over everything. I needed to learn the value of hard work. The people that did the best at the school that I was in did so not just because of natural talent, but because they were putting in the hard graft, long hours in the library, working, day and night, after school weekends, like really understanding their craft and learning their craft, not just learning how to, pass an exam. So I think learning that lesson was crucial. And going into, it took me a long time to get to a place where I truly understood that lesson. Maybe even months, just like walking around being aimless, sort of commiserating about what happened. But once I got back into the school system, I had to restart the year, unfortunately. But once I got back into the school system, started getting back into it, started thinking about the mistakes that I made and understanding that it's hard work over anything else that is going to get me to succeed. Then I saw, my ability really start to shine through. The grades I knew that I could get at school, they were coming back to me. I'd managed to turn around from getting E grades and U grades at A level all the way to I ended up with 2 A's and a B at A level, which is, that's a massive improvement. Probably something I'd imagine my teachers at my previous school probably didn't think I was capable of. But it was because of that lesson, the fact that the fact that I was able to sort of sit there, be critical about myself, and really get on with it, and really like knuckle down. I think that was something that really did shape my career, and it's something that I've held to this day. You know, the idea of being the first to enter, the last to leave, really putting your all into everything.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I really like that story, and I think 100% it's a lesson that I had to learn along my journey as well. I guess one question coming from that story that I would like to ask you is, how does someone who has natural ability sort of get the motivation to do the hard work? I guess without having the humbling experience of of failing. Like what do you think, without having a humbling experience, also drives motivation to actually put in hard work?
I think, you know, failure is the easiest way to realize that something's got to change, right? Like, obviously, you see, and it doesn't matter what it is, you see your business losing money, you see U grades on an exam, you know that something's going to change. I think without that though, I think it's an understanding. It's an understanding within yourself that you don't know everything, and there's always more that you've got to learn. I think the minute you start being complacent, the minute you start being arrogant, the minute you start thinking you've known it all, you've cracked it, then you're setting yourself up for failure. I think always being humble, always accepting, there's more to learn. There's things I can do differently, and always wanting to be better. I think that's that's the best way to make sure that you're not coasting on your natural ability. I think seeking out knowledge and that desire to want to be better, you're naturally going to have to put in hard work to make sure that you are at that level. So yeah, it's really about making sure within yourself you understand, this is what I need to do to get to the next stage. I'm not, I haven't completed life. I haven't completed mastery of an understanding of, whatever it is I'm learning. I think you can go to university, you can do a master's, you can do a PhD, and still know absolutely nothing about the subject that you're studying. So I think it's always being humble and understanding that, I think, is the best way to sort of stave off complacency.
Definitely. And I think this leads nicely into the second turning point as well, which is sort of a lack of seeking different opportunities when you were in university. How does that sort of transpire, and what's the story behind that as well?
Of course. So I think the narrative was, after, managing to turn things around, managing to do quite well at university, at sixth form, and managing to get into university, I think you're exposed to a whole different world. So for me, I come from East London. I come from a place where you don't see success, and you're not conditioned to accept success in the same way that people from other backgrounds might be. I think it's the understanding that, role models are few and far between, pathways to success are few and far between. That's something you've got to learn for yourself, rather than something that's instilled in you by school, by family, or by whoever it is. And I think going into a university environment, I think the thing that struck me compared to my peers is, while they understood what methods that they could use to navigate their ways to success, that's something I still had to learn. And I think initially I wasn't as creative as I could have been in trying to find ways of being successful. And what I mean by that is, if you're going into a university environment, you're thinking about opportunities you could take. I think the first thing that comes to people's minds is, get work experience, an internship, a spring week, something that's obvious. The issue with that is, a lot of people are going to be thinking the same way. And then if you're coming from a working class background, you're coming from a different background, they're going to have advantages that you don't have. Their CVs are going to look better than yours. They're going to be able to draw on more experiences at interview than you are able to. And I think that really limits your potential, if that's the area in which you want to go down. I mean, by no means am I telling anybody, don't go for an internship, don't go for work experience. But there's a lot of ways in which you can develop the skills necessary for a career. And I think my mistake was relying on trying to land a work experience, an internship. It turned out in my first year, I didn't get any sort of work experience at all. I'd applied to 10, I think it was like 10 or 20 or 30 companies, and not had a single thing. And I think that while that time was useful, that time could have been spent finding other ways to enrich my skills. Being in a university environment, there's so many ways you can enrich your skills. Taking extra classes, going online and trying to learn something, learning from peers, going to clubs and societies and things like that. And I think that's not something I took advantage of straight away. And I think when I did start to take advantage of that was after my first year of university. I decided to pick up a volunteering position, a place called the London Apprenticeship Fair. And I think working there was one of my first experiences of, dealing with clients, dealing with big companies. So my role was as working in the business development team, working to source companies that would come to this apprenticeship fair for young people. That was one of my first experiences doing that. And I think that was an experience that has shaped me and the way in which I approach, let's say, client development going forward. And it's something that, funny enough, other companies have noticed on, let's say, my CV, let's say, a cover letter that I write. And that's the thing that could set me apart from other people that took a different path. And that's how I've managed to sort of kickstart my career. So I think the learning that I really do take from that is be creative in the ways in which that you want to stand out from the audience when you're starting your career. Going down the traditional route is fine, but also the people that stand out are the people that think outside the box and try to either develop new skills or use the skills that they already have in a unique, different, and interesting way. Yeah,
I think you made some really good points there. And I guess one question I have for you is, what do you think actually drives people to go down a tunnel vision path? Because it is actually really easy to do that.
I think more than anything, I think I speak from my experience when I say, when we're looking at careers or when we're looking at starting out in a career, it's really hard if you don't have the right people around you. And you don't have the right support system. It's understanding how to break into a career is actually very difficult, especially in schools. In a lot of schools, I think I can speak from my experiences where the breadth of careers that were out there weren't explained to me at school. You weren't explained to me at sixth form. I think the career that I went into. I eventually went into, I think I didn't have discussions about it until second year, third year of university. So, and if you're thinking of all the time before that, where, you're going around aimlessly and you're not really sure about the career path you could take, it's difficult. If you don't have the right people around you, if you don't have people to sort of help you, guide you through your career, and to sort of point out opportunities to you or point out things that you could be doing better, it's tough to make the right decision. I think I was lucky. At university, I managed to sign up to this amazing charity called Upreach. So what they do, they go out, they assign you somebody that is a sort of mentor to you, someone that can help you navigate the idea of building a career while you're still in university, and someone that can work through things like a CV with you, help you develop your skills and get you ready for the working world. I think I was lucky to grab that experience, but I know that's not reflective of everyone. So I think the best advice I can give is really try as early as possible, try and surround yourself with people that can give you great advice and set you on the right path. Yeah, really good advice. And I think let's go into the final turning point, which is this idea of generating self-belief within oneself. Tell us a little bit about that and that turning point that was in your life. Of course. So I think of the things that we've discussed so far, I think this one is something I'm still grappling with. I'm still working with. The idea of working against imposter syndrome and how to avoid losing confidence in yourself. It's something I'm still working with. I think it's a battle that lots of people face, not just at the junior level, even at the senior level. So just before I jumped on the call today, I was actually reading about how someone senior at Lloyd's Banking Group said throughout his career, he was battling imposter syndrome, which as someone starting out in my career, that sounds insane. If you've got 15, 20 years experience, how can you battle imposter syndrome? But it's the idea that confidence is something that you have to work on consistently. Like the idea that you belong in a workplace, that you can thrive in a workplace, that's something that comes from a self-belief that you have to work on consistently. And it is an ongoing battle. And I think tied to that is something that I am learning through my career is self-belief doesn't just come from, you know, results. And what I mean by that is it's easy to have belief in yourself when somebody, you know, tells you that, you know, you're smart, you're an intelligent person. Let's say you get good grades and you're doing well at work. It's a lot harder to have the same self-belief when things aren't going your way, or, you know, maybe things aren't even going your way, but you're not being told that. Maybe at work, you're not getting the recognition that you might deserve. It's a lot harder to have that self-belief within yourself. But I think the way to manage that, more than anything, or the way that I am learning how to manage that, is by making sure that what you do is visible. So I am a results-oriented person. So I think the way in which I can generate self-belief within myself is by making sure that I'm delivering things and I'm being useful and I'm adding value to my team.
Yeah.
Making sure that I'm having open lines of communication with the people I'm working with and striving to be better, getting feedback from people. So I'm in a place where I can feel like I'm adding value. I'm actually, you know, an integral part of the team. And I think that goes a long way to dispelling imposter syndrome. If you could point to things that you've done, or you could point to an area that you're working in at the minute and say, okay, this would have been done differently if I'm not there.
Yeah.
So it is definitely a constant battle, but it is one that I'm working on. And I think one other thing that I do want to add onto that is something that I'm working on at the minute is working on understanding that just because somebody's senior than you doesn't mean they know everything. It means that they have a breadth of experience that you should definitely lean on, but your opinion is also just as valuable. I think, especially when you go into a major organization, there is that fear of, oh my God, everybody's smarter than me. I don't know anything. I should just say nothing.
Yeah.
But I think combating that has to come from the idea that you wouldn't be in that organization if people didn't want your opinion. I think when you're looking at these big organizations in banking, in finance, professional services, consulting, whatever, they've got, you know, thousands of people applying to their jobs every year. They could have picked someone else.
Yeah.
The fact that you're in that situation means that you are valuable to them and that people do value your opinion. So it is up to you to voice that opinion. Make sure that you are speaking. Make sure that you are speaking up, even if you're wrong, and making sure that you're not letting yourself be clouded by negative self-talk.
Yeah, 100%. And another thing I think, just to add on to this, because self-belief is something that I've had to work on as well. I think consistency is really key as well. So for me, as you said, being results orientated, also just being consistent and marking down those small wins that you get every single day, whether that's completing a task, whether that's speaking up in a meeting, doing those small things as well also are small contributions to overall self-belief. And I thought it would be good to add that as well, because it's something that I've...
Definitely. I think that part about taking down small wins is key. I think, especially even if you're going for roles in the future, I think thinking back on my own recruitment experience, it's a lot easier to present yourself for future roles, for future opportunities, if you've got a list of things that you've done amazingly well in the past, as well as in the moment, giving yourself that quick boost of saying, yes, this is something that I've achieved. So nail on the head.
Yeah, great. So we always end it off with this last question, which is, what is one thing you would advise your younger self?
Of course. So if I had a conversation with my younger self, I think the thing that I will try to instill most of all is the importance of resilience. The idea that things are, unless you are extremely lucky throughout your life and your career, things are going to go wrong for you at some point. And it's a cliche, but it's not about how you fall down, but it's more about how you get back up. It's okay to feel bad when things go wrong, but wallowing in it can be that can be the difference between rebounding and, making more mistakes and heading further down a path that you don't want to. Saw a really interesting post on LinkedIn recently and it said that you should take after every loss or after every instance when things go badly, you should take 48 hours and feel all the emotions that you need to feel, react however you want to react. After those 48 hours, back to work. The work doesn't change. The work doesn't change. The world doesn't stop just because you've made that mistake. It's about how you bounce back and how you move forward. I know there was plenty of times in my career, my life, that I wallowed in self-pity probably a bit longer than I could have. And looking back, that really is wasted time. I think the time spent between the mistake happening and you doing something about it, there's a lot that you can do in that space of time. Commiserating helps to an extent, but it's more productive and it sets you up for success better if you could critically step back, think of why the mistake happened, learn from it, and then move on.
Yeah.
Leave that in the past. Leave that as a talking point from the past, and then move on and kick on. And I think, especially when working with people, resilience is something that really does shine through. If you are able to jump back up after something goes wrong, you're going to be rewarded for that. I think in a high octane workplace where they know things are going to go wrong, they look for people that are able to adapt and able to, get back up and get back on the horse and, get back to business as usual. I think it's a skill that every young person really should be looking to develop. As hard as it is a skill that is critical for the working world. And it's something definitely I've recommended to my younger self, but it's really any young person heading in and starting up their career.
Thank you very much, Jacob. It's been a great time speaking to you. Where can people find you if they want to connect?
Of course, best place to find me is my LinkedIn. So it's Jacob Ayenamayi. Ayenamayi spelled Ayenamayi. Very long surname. That is definitely the best place to find me. Do feel free to connect. Always happy to have a chat.
Great. You've just listened to another Better Conversation, and we hope to see you next time. Thanks. Goodbye.